Hi, beloveds. Welcome to this week's Craniosacral conversation, which I titled Conversations, Inflammation, and Immunity, because I was inspired by this one video I saw on Instagram that my friend Mr. Filson put up, but the creators I will reference now. Um, if you are new to these conversations, I'm a craniosacral practitioner, which just means I'm someone who practices again and again craniosacral and how body lives relationships, how body communicates, and all the many relationships that we are. So this video is also a little bit about those external human relationships as well. So the original video was posted by the Magic in Hue, Hue, the Wellness Digest underscore. And the video is a reaction video. It's a video that's playing, and a person is reacting to the video of the shock of the information of how one conversation, in particular, a stressful conversation, an argument, can leave a person immunocompromised and inflamed for 3 to 4 hours. And so I just want to remind people how we connect with each other, how we relate with each other, and the power of our words and the daily interactions can have on our overall health and well-being. And so I want to remind people that if one conversation can do that, and I don't know the length of that conversation, how this was measured or studied or anything, but if one conversation can leave a person immunocompromised and inflamed for 3 to 4 hours, what can a positive conversation, a positive experience, a nourishing experience like craniosacral leave a person with? Could it be 3 hours of being well and nourished and supported and having some anti-inflammatory properties? So I want people to get curious about your daily interactions, who's in your circles, the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk with others, what you allow others to say to you. And reminding people that you can walk away. And some part of craniosacral I really appreciate is the feeling of clarity afterwards. I feel like I can just think more expansively after I get regular craniosacral, because I want to remind people that in these situations, you are not helpless. There's so many times we need to unlearn learned helplessness, and conversations, one-with-one interactions can be a wonderful playing ground, practice time to remember infinite possibilities. So, an expression that has helped me sometimes is saying, and I know like it's like, who talks like this? But it's like, why can't we talk like this? An expression that's helped me sometimes is saying, like, if you need to have this conversation right now, we can, but know that I will be unskillful. It will be an unskillful conversation. I do not feel resourced enough, but if you absolutely need to have this conversation right now, I will, but it will be an unskillful conversation. If you'd like a skillful conversation, then I'd love to be able to eat and rest and talk tomorrow, or I'd love to do it after this big other life happening I have. Can we do it next Friday or something like that? You know, you get to choose your boundaries, the ways you want to play with language and the ways you want to play with your relationship. I also love opening a craniosacral conversation by inviting playful language and expansive language, the opportunity to slow down through language. And I open a craniosacral conversation often by saying two-part questions to a person, saying, do you feel like today in this moment you have both the skills to know what you want during the session and to ask for that? Or would you like more questions, more prompting from me, more kind of like holding of that myself? Or can we do that together? Do I have the assurance that if you're uncomfortable during the session, you'll let me know so we can pause and adjust? Or if you're cold, so I can get you a blanket or something. Do you feel like in this moment today, you trust and believe that part of the craniosacral session is being comfortable, and that comfort is possible, and that communication is a big part of this practice as well, because you're not receiving a craniosacral session alone. Like, yes, we can bring hands to ourselves. Yes, there's so many times we can make ourselves tea, which of course other people helped pick and grow, and nothing's ever done completely alone, but there are ways of doing self-care alone. But a craniosacral session is one of those times where there's another person there. So it's an opportunity to have a conversation and all the things that can grow in a conversation with another person. And so I want us to be curious about what happens 3 to 4 hours after a craniosacral session, or do you gain 3 to 4 hours of some feeling or resource because of a craniosacral conversation or session? And people will often ask me, how frequently should I have a craniosacral session? And I'll say, since it's so gentle, there's no wrong answer. But if I were you, I'd be curious, be very aware right now. How do you feel right now after this session, and see how long that lasts? And then also know that if you have more frequent sessions, you can go deeper. If you need to space it out for financial reasons or other reasons, that's perfectly fine too. It's wonderful that you're setting aside any time to focus on you and the relationship you live with, the body you live with. So I just wanted to share this curious point and expand it a little bit. I really love anytime people talk about how trauma lives in the body and can be passed on, but how resiliency lives in the body and can also be passed down. So I love this video thinking about how our daily interactions and what we do for each other is significant. We don't have to be a politician, we don't have to be a king or queen or royalty to make change, right? We affect each other very powerfully in the daily, and remembering the very small, the daily is important too, and that we all kind of are shaping the behaviors that get watered in this world. We are all culture shapers in this way by what we give our attention to, what behaviors we let slide, reinforce, nourish, water, all of that. And so this is a way too where it's like the collective health of how much stress hormones are breathed out, how much the collective nerves, because our nerves can sense each other and kind of read it of like, is everything okay? How should I be feeling? We are all adding to that throughout the day. And so cranial cycle can be a time to be intentionally aware of the power that all of us have, the impact that we're making, and then get to make choices. And I really love Susan Raffo talk about liberation being about getting to make choices, choosing, remembering you have choices. And I really want to remind people of that in these moments with intense conversations, that if you do whatever it takes to help you remember infinite possibilities, please do that. So in those moments, maybe cranial cycle is one of those things you do. In those moments, you can remember, okay, what language could I use right now? Or do I need to ask for a pause? Do I need to make a quick little doodle and express myself that way, or at least like look for a message there? Any little thing to like slow each other down. And remember, you don't have to continue playing out oppressive scripts that were given. You don't have to continue to play out family patterns that you've been shown, that you can reclaim your vitality, your uniqueness, and the uniqueness of this moment. And so I always encourage play. That's why I said, like, maybe during an argument, like, you pause and each make your little symbol drawings or something and try to slow down whatever it is. There was this very funny Instagram post of two couples having like a close face-to-face argument, and then they just end up laughing. Like, that's what they do to bring the uniqueness of their relationship into also how they argue or something, so that they can remember the things they love about each other. And so what can you do when talking with people to remember that you love people or that you believe in people? So I find, and I said this in another cranial sacral video, that cranial sacral can help the cerebral spinal fluid flow, and the more that cerebral spinal fluid can flow, the more that protein byproducts can be cleared from the brain, and so people can really have a sense of clarity after sessions. So maybe that is a part of how cranial sacral can help new pathways be growing, and more clearing can happen. But I just do really find that having regular cranial cycle helps me be able to think differently, be able to remember possibilities, remember agency, be present, and remember my power of getting to choose. So please, let's do this for all of us. Let's not lead to 3 to 4 hours of immunocompromise and inflammation in yourself or others. Let's lead to 3 to 4 hours possibly of nourishment and resourceness. So thank you so much for a collective knowledge sharing that happens so that I can make this video for all of you, and thank you for all of you being your gifts. We are getting into colder weather again here in Minnesota, Makoche, homelands, the Dakhóta people, and then later the Anishinaabe and HoChunk people. And I really love following the accounts on Instagram that help support people who are experiencing houselessness, homelessness right now, however that individual identifies their experience as, but there are people out on the streets cold. And so there's AYU underscore yurts, there's the Sanctuary Depot, there's Quay Strong, these different organizations that are bringing food and firewood and shelter to people on the streets, because no one should be freezing and feeling alone when there is enough, and we just have to share and redistribute and recognize how all of us are because of each other. And so please keep following those accounts. Please call Governor Walz and say how much you appreciate people who have immigrated here and offer them protections. Let's just keep looking out for each other. And remember that there is abundance, there's infinite possibilities. And the more we do it in our small daily interactions, the more we can remember that it's true in the large scale as well, that there's enough room for all of us. We can pause and honor the life that is here. So let's practice it in small and big ways. Thank you so much. I hope that each of you get to feel like your favorite song is dancing alongside you. I hope that each of you get to have your gifts nourished and encouraged so that we can share them and celebrate you. And I hope that you get to be seen in the ways you want to be seen by those you want to be seen by. So thank you so much and have a wonderful week.